They just got nothing to lose, and they're just doing wild, heinous shit on the camera. Because everyone they know is dead. They have no shame anymore.
Everyone they know is...
They're like, let's make this the grossest shit ever. What do I care? Look at me, I'm disgusting already. I can't get any lower. My wife's dead. My kids hate me. You know?
What are you saying?
So stick it up there. Go ahead.
What are you saying?
That's the most...
Right up the chute.
What are you saying? Who are you being? Who's this character?
Oh, there's more than you know, there's a decent amount of them floating around.
I enter this conversation really late.
They're like Applebee's patrons, and then at night...
What the fuck?
I love this, because they just keep it going. They don't know what the
That's what it is. I don't know what to tell you. This is how they are.
They're the ones that are like, is it okay if I dine alone?
Oh, they don't ask. They do.
They do the early bird special at Applebee's. Then they go home and shove metal rods.
Oh no.
that crazy... you should have seen the apps today. Don't move, Marty. What do I care? I hope it gets lost and I die.
Jesus Christ. Stop.
This is Patreon stuff.
Stop.
This is for the Patreon.
Yeah, this is the fucking $100 pay game. Watch us talking about sounding.
Alright, welcome to Scarier Friends.
Someone took a stapler out.
No,
One of those...
stop.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, we're done.
That's what I said.
Get the 10 seconds of silence.
That's what I said.
Get this going.
I said, no more. Click away. I'm doing my
up.
taxes right now.
Shut up.
Keep it going. It was beyond horrific.
Be quiet.
It reaches a point where it just becomes violent and terrible, and that's when you leave. And it's always old men. That's the point. I'm rambling, but it's always old men. That's all I wanted to impart.
How long of a conversation about old men sounding?
A minute and 52 seconds.
You have to record that?
Yeah.
That was about a minute and 50 seconds too many.
A minute and 52 seconds, too many to be precise.
No, that's 2 minutes.
Alright. Did we ever knock out that silence? Or did
No, we did not. Alright, we're going to try that now. Hello, and welcome to Scarier Friends. My name is John, a.k.a. Skillfully, and of course I am not by myself today. I am with friends. A whole group and room filled with friends. Tonight I have William, Dan, Kevin, Caitlin, and Dylan. What's going on, everybody?
That's a lot of people in one room, John.
It is a lot of people.
Especially this room.
Especially a small room that's not currently being ventilated, that we've all been sitting in for upwards of 45 minutes now for no reason.
I want to hear it from
Goofing off, talking about horrendous things that I will not name on this...
Kevin, how are you doing?
Bring it up.
Kevin,
really?
Save it. Save the conversation.
I was the one who made the first 45 minutes.
Dan, please, something, anyone?
I'm having a wonderful night. We saw a wonderful little film today.
Yes, we
All
did.
of us. It was great. The Secret World of Arietti. We're doing Ghibli Fest this year. Dylan and I both have not seen a majority of those films, so we're doing that and we're experiencing them.
Are those, what kind of films are those?
They're, Miyazaki's like the Walt Disney of Japan, basically. Somebody's going to be really upset that I said that. But I think it's an apt comparson.
It is.
Well, the last one I think, was part of Walt Disney Japan, too.
Well, they produce, they import them.
Well, when Arietti came out, it was Arietti, and like a few years later or before was Ponyo, and Ponyo had a lot of Disney stars in it. This one also had Disney stars.
Dude, you know what? Hot take. I like Ponyo. I don't know what everybody...
I love Ponyo.
Everybody doesn't like Ponyo. Ponyo's good.
So
anyway, on the film podcast...
Ponyo or Totoro, Dan?
Absolutely Ponyo. Fuck Totoro. I'm going on record. Fuck Totoro. Fuck that movie. It sucks.
In come the Totoro stands.
It sucks. There's no plot. There's no plot.
Cat bus.
It's 2 hours. Cat bus. It's 2 hours. There's no plot. The little girl gets lost in the last 10 minutes. That's the plot. Fuck that movie.
And Totoro does nothing.
And he does nothing. He does nothing. He does less than nothing.
He does his best, Dan.
He doesn't. His best
less.
is nothing. Fuck that movie. Ponyo's way better. Come at me.
It was cool if someone came up to you, Will, and it's like, "Hey, I lost a kid." You're like, "Okay, let me call the police." Did you really do anything? Did you? You didn't.
No. Because the police were probably...
You did not do shit. Anyway, so what are we doing today, John?
Arietti was good, though. It was like a 7 out of 10. It was solid.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Nice.
Alright, so during the last episode, we introduced SCP to the group. And at the time, it was Dan, Kevin, and Dylan, and myself. I'm not as familiar with the SCPs as I am with the Creepypasta Wiki and that stuff, but The SCP episode last time, I think it went really well. We basically, Will and Caitlin weren't here, but what we did was we read sort of the About Us page on this website called the SCP Foundation. It looks very much like a wiki, but it looks really good. The site, I think, actually looks pretty snazzy, and it's sort of like what's that show like? Mystery. It's like X-Files or like Mystery Files or like isn't like a crime thing? What's like mystery something?
X-Files, like unsolved mysteries.
It's like unsolved mysteries.
That's an actual that's like real crime though. They just don't have.
Yeah, I know, but it's something like something like X-Files meets like Area 51.
William has experience too. He did play Control. That's basically the thing.
That's true. So I got it. I'm up to speed.
Caitlin is the only one that is going into this real.
So just to kind of break down what the writers are doing here is that this government thing, whether it's a government thing or it's an independent entity, we're not really sure. They call themselves the SCP Foundation. They do talk about how there are rival groups,
which stands for
Secure, Protect,
Contain, Protect.
Contain, Protect. Yes,
is there fun shorthand like SYF?
SYF?
No,
like what?
SYF, like COD.
No.
Like blops?
No, not like blops.
Oh.
Just SCP.
So I can't say SYF.
No, you cannot.
I mean, you can. Nobody's going to stop you from saying it.
I'll stop you.
Okay.
I mean, I could just edit you not saying it entirely.
Anywho.
But if I keep saying
they're like some kind of government, potentially. They're some kind of organization.
Right. So it's like
monitors.
It seems like an independent organization that works outside of government jurisdiction.
It's like the Illuminati for supernatural shit.
Right.
Essentially.
And they basically their explanation in the About Us page was how there's a lot of weird shit that goes on in the world that can't be explained, and someone needs to protect the world from basically themselves. Because if they found out about this information, the world will go fucking crazy.
The Men in Black, essentially.
Right. It's
It's a more apt comparison.
Right. So that's what they do. It's like science of the unknown. And what they do with these things is they try to secure them, contain them, and protect them from the world and also from themselves if necessary. Now, the cool thing about SCPs is that although a lot of people think of an SCP as like a creature, like a goat man kind of thing, or like whatever, like an entity that's like living, last time, the first SCP we read after the Foundation was something called SCP-086, which was a staircase. And the way that it works is that the SCP's name is 086, and then there's a creature in the staircase named 086-1.
Right, it's a very...
So they don't name them.
It's
like
a very sterile
right.
way of, and very organized way of doing things. But it's interesting because, the staircase is the phenomenon, but then there's definitely entities in them, so it's bizarre. But yeah. That was listen to that episode before you listen to this one, or you might do a last time on. That would be we were talking about that. That'd be good.
Yeah, I mean the last one was definitely one of my favorites. Honestly.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. It's an interesting concept. I don't know if we I don't remember if we went into it more, but I love the idea of somebody has a foundation. And then they put it out into the world, and then people latch onto it, and they start building off of it, to make this kind of like lore, like universe. So I do like that as a concept.
I think I said this last time. It's like open source creepypasta.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so that's what we're going to do today. I thought the episode went very well, and now that William and Caitlin are here, I feel like we have an opportunity to get them involved with SCPs. And as for how we'll cover SCPs in the future, I'm not really sure. Well, I'll find a way, maybe. And, we will cover more of them, obviously. The thing is, they are rather short, a lot of them. Like the two that I picked out today. I don't know if we'll actually get to two today. It depends how much we talk about the first one. But there isn't really a lot of writing on the first one that I've picked out for us. It is a popular one, though. It is called SCP-055. So I think everyone's already on it.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of...
So the other thing that is kind of unique to this genre or this subgenre of creepypasta is that there are classes of SCPs.
This class is, I think it's...
Keter or Keter?
Keter, I think.
Yeah.
The last one... So a Keter is an anonymous... An SCP are anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. The Foundation often can't contain these SCPs well due to not having a solid understanding of the anomaly or lacking the technology to properly contain or counter it. A Keter SCP does not mean the SCP is dangerous, just that it is very difficult or costly to contain. And I think that the only class higher than Keter is Thumiel, which is I'm actually wrong about that. So Thumiel SCPs are anomalies that the Foundation uses to contain other SCPs. There's neutralized, which it's just they've been neutralized.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
dead.
I know,
We also have Euclids, which is the last one we did.
Right.
They require more resources to contain than normal, and then the last one is the lowest level, which is just safe. Basically, they've been contained and understood, and they're no threat because either they have neutralized them completely, or they have
or just
contained
basic
them completely.
containment. Yeah. All right.
And then I think there's explained.
Yeah,
decommissioned.
This one's Keter, so we have the context going.
I just wanted to get the context of the object class for this one specifically.
So let's just get into reading our first one, which is SCP-055. So I'm going to go ahead and read the special containment procedures for SCP-055. The object is kept within a 5x5 by 2.5 meter square room, constructed of cement, 50 centimeter thickness, with a Faraday cage surrounding the cement walls. Access is via a heavy containment door measuring 2 by 2.5 meters, constructed on bearings to ensure door closes and locks automatically unless held open deliberately. Security guards are not to be posted outside of SCP-055's room. It is further advised that all personnel maintaining or studying other SCP objects in the vicinity try to maintain a distance of at least 50 meters from the geometric center of the room, as long as this is reasonably practical.
SCP-055 is a self-keeping secret or anti-meme. Information about SCP-055's physical appearance as well as its nature, behavior, and origins is self-classifying. To clarify, how Site-19 originally acquired SCP-055 is unknown. When SCP-055 was obtained and by whom is unknown. SCP-055's physical appearance is unknown. It is not indescribable or invisible. Individuals are perfectly capable of entering SCP-055's container and observing it, taking mental or written notes, making sketches, taking photographs, and even making audio-video recordings. An extensive log of such observations is on file. However, information about SCP-055's physical appearance leaks out of a human mind soon after such an observation. Individuals tasked with describing SCP-055 afterwards find their minds wandering and lose interest in the task. Individuals tasked with sketching a copy of a photograph of SCP-055 are unable to remember what the photograph looks like, as are researchers overseeing these tests. Security personnel who have observed SCP-055 via closed-circuit television cameras emerge after a full shift, exhausted and effectively amnesiac about the events of the previous hours. Who authorized the construction of SCP-055's containment room, why it was constructed in this way, or what the purpose of the described containment procedures may be, are all unknown. Despite SCP-055's container being easily accessible, all personnel at Site-19 claim no knowledge of SCP-055's existence when challenged.
All of these facts are periodically rediscovered, usually by chance readers of this file, causing a great deal of alarm. This state of concern lasts minutes at most before the matter is simply forgotten about. A great deal of scientific data has been recorded from SCP-055 but cannot be studied. At least one attempt has been made to destroy SCP-055 or possibly move it from containment at Site-19 to another site, meeting failure for reasons unknown. SCP-055 may present a major physical threat and indeed may have killed many hundreds of personnel, and we would not know it. Certainly it presents a gigantic memetic/mental threat, hence its Keter classification.
Document 055-1.
Oh yeah, one more. Sorry, that I interrupted you, but this is the last time I interrupted you. From this point on, this is another common thing with SCPs. You will often see just blacked out lines.
Redacted. Yeah.
It just means redacted. So just when you come across that, just say the word redacted.
Redacted.
Yeah.
Document 055-1. Analysis of SCP-055. The author puts forward the hypothesis that SCP-055 was never formally acquired by Redacted, and is in fact autonomous or remotely controlled agent, inserted at Site-19 by an unidentified third party for one or all of the following purposes. To silently observe or interfere with activities at Site-19. To silently observe or interfere with activities at other SCP locations. To silently observe or interfere with activities of humanity worldwide. To silently observe or interfere with other SCP objects. To silently observe or interfere with Redacted. No action to counter any of these potential threats is suggested or indeed theoretically possible.
Let's read the addendum.
Addendum A. Hey, if this thing really is an anti-meme, why doesn't the fact that it's an anti-meme get wiped? We must be wrong about that somehow. Wait a minute, what if we were to keep notes about what it isn't? Would we remember those? Bartholomew Hughes, NSA. Document 055-2, report of John Marichek. Survey team, long serial number, was successfully able to enter SCP-055's container and ascertain the appearance and, to some degree, the nature of the object. Notes were taken according to the project methodology, see Redacted, after which the container was sealed again. Excerpt from the transcript of personnel debriefing follows.
I'll be a doctor again. This was doctor last time, so I did the doctor. Who wants to be the redacted character?
William, why don't you be the redacted? Because you haven't read yet.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to need to ask you some questions about 55 now.
Number what?
SCP, Object 55. The object you just examined.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think we have a 55.
Okay then, I'd like you to tell me what you've been doing for the past 2 hours.
What? I don't know.
Okay then, do you remember that we all agreed that it wasn't spherical?
That what wasn't... Oh right, it isn't round at all. Object 55 isn't round.
So you remember it now?
Well, I mean, no. I don't know what it is, but I know there is one. It's something you can't remember, and it's not a sphere.
Wait a minute, what's not a sphere?
Object 55.
Object what?
Doc, do you remember agreeing that something wasn't shaped like a sphere?
Oh, right!
It appears to be possible to remember what SCP-055 is not, negations of fact, and to repeatedly deduce its existence from these memories. Personnel involved in survey long serial number reported moderate levels of disorientation and psychological trauma associated with cycles of repeated memory and forgetfulness of SCP-055. However, no long-term behavioral or health problems were observed, and psych assessments of survey personnel showed consistent reports of this distress fading over time. Recommendations? It may be worthwhile to post at least one staff member capable of remembering the existence of SCP-055 to each critical site.
And that was 55. So that's pretty much that. There's no addendums unlike the last one we did, which there was like 4 additional addendums to it.
Technically 5.
But this was a pretty short one, but I really love the idea of this.
This feels like a Descartes-ass, intro to philosophy.
Thought experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah, this feels like a philosopher wrote it.
Yeah.
Really?
That's my vibe.
I know it's weird. I'm going to bring this to Caitlin's attention. I don't think any of you else would get this. It's like the silence from Doctor Who.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you didn't think of that?
No, I was trying to remember something. I'm like, I feel like this
Fucking
is in...
nerds.
Well, none of you else watch Doctor Who?
No.
The silence were these creatures that when you would see them, you would remember them. You would be consciously aware of it. But when you weren't looking at them, you would forget its existence. So, one of the tropes in the show with the silence was people would put tally marks on their arm to know how many there were. Because once they look away, they'd be like, I don't know what this tally mark was. So, that's one way they could have, done it. But what I thought was interesting is that it's, at the end, it seems like some people are capable of remembering or knowing what it is to a certain extent.
They just forget whenever they try. They don't know what it looks like or what it even is, really.
Exactly.
They just know it's an object.
I just find it funny that we have this log of this thing. And how is it logged if nobody can remember what the fuck it is?
At the end, it says there's certain people that you want to have people who potentially know.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by a Faraday cage, which is interesting because that means it's trying to keep some sort of electromagnetic.
That's actually the creepy part to me is that it's a lot of because again they don't know what they have, but like we don't. Like they don't know
where it came from.
Right, and they don't think that anyone's died to it.
Right.
They don't
even
think so.
know. Right.
They wouldn't even remember. But all they know is there's in the middle of this facility there's this giant sealed off box, the cement room with a one door to get in and out. And you can't even put security guards in the room to watch it because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's a small room, by the way.
It's tiny.
5 by 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compare it to this room.
Wait, so
this is a small room.
What is a Faraday cage?
It's just like a way to contain electromagnetic disturbances or to keep out. So, because one of my things I would do is like what they did with the staircase in the last one, which I can't remember the numbers, so forgive me.
86.
But they had someone go in there and just tell me what you're seeing.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe the Faraday cage really disturbed getting some sort of radio frequency or something out of there.
Yeah, but even if somebody went in there and they were describing it, they would forget, and the person that was hearing them describe it would forget, and everyone would forget that came in contact with.
Well, because
that's the thing. It's weird.
I'm going by the rules of the silence. I know that's weird, which is stupid, but
I mean it's the closest thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to find some sort of connection, rationale to ground it into what I know.
Right. How do you? Right.
Because I guess if you're not exactly seeing it, you could understand it, but it seems like any written account of this, which is funny because that's how most of the creepypasta's historical accounts are all wiped. So it could be, which everything was mysteriously wiped. No one remembers this. All accounts were disappeared.
Right. Yeah, this is why I wanted to do this one immediately because I knew that we wouldn't be able to judge it the way that we can judge an actual story like The Disappearance of Ashley, Kansas, or any of the other creepypastas we've read. So I
wouldn't say that. I feel like give us enough time, we can definitely dissect.
I know, but
I love this.
It's
one,
just,
honestly.
it's a very fascinating idea, and I think that's what it basically is. But that's why I kind of like the new format of it, that we're reading for this.
Right.
It's not new, but it's for this podcast. It's a new thing that we're introducing.
Something exists, but it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something,
but it's nothing.
Right.
You can't prove it's something.
It's a whole lot of nothing. It's something that is nothing.
What if we release this podcast?
Crazy.
What if we release this podcast and all of us forget recording it except William?
Holy shit! He's the chosen one. Wait, what are we talking about,
guys? Don't you remember 55, William? What's 55?
What's 55? What are you talking about? John's John never releases the recording. It just disappears. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of how that's the MO of the thing, right? But I love the idea of nobody remembers building this room or putting this in here or where it came from or anything. We just know that it's here. Okay. And every time we try to observe it, we forget.
All right, hold on. What if here's the thing? What if number 55 is just this chill little monster dude, right? He's doing his own thing. Maybe he's got a beak. Maybe he doesn't. But all the researchers hate his guts, so they're gaslighting the shit out of him. Every time they leave, they're like, I don't even know if anyone's in there. This poor little bastard's like, don't you remember me? We talked about the stock market.
Are you saying the goat man's in there?
No, just some little cretin is wobbling around in this big cage, and everyone's giggling to themselves.
It's the ultimate middle child.
And they're talking about
how did an entire military-grade organization gaslight?
They gotta blow off a little steam.
That's how much
every time they go visit this thing?
055, that's the one.
Hey,
fuck this guy.
I'm gonna pop in, I'm gonna fuck with number 55. You don't know what I'm talking about, right? And they both get in there and they're like, hey, little fella, I see. He goes, please remember me, please. And they're like, what? What's happening? And they kind of wander out and lock the door, and he's just sobbing. And they're all high-fiving over brewskis.
Do you guys ever see the video?
You know what's the really weird part about William's interpretation?
Yeah.
What the fuck was the beak?
It's not an interpretation.
Why a beak?
It's not an interpretation. William's being a dick.
No.
And that's the point.
I feel like that's a fair assessment.
I don't...
Because, look, we don't understand. Like, I don't want to pull authorial intent on this kind of thing. But,
okay.
No, but I mean, in-universe authorial intent, since this is written in universe. My point is, hey, they got a lot of shit going on. It's stressful. The fate of the world and all that. Let's fuck with the beak guy. Let's really stick it to him. This
Why a
job
beak?
sucks. That's all he's got going for him.
That's
really.
all he's got. He's just a human with a beak.
Well, I didn't say he was human. They won't tell us what he is. That's part of the joke to them.
All right, I've been thinking about this for a bit. I want to.
Please get me away from this
I want
conversation.
to ask Dylan a question.
Oh boy.
As we
He
all
sucks.
we all have.
He sucks.
No, this
What's
isn't bad.
that?
It's not bad. We talked about this with Ashley Kansas, how like he's the know it facts kind of
Just
guy,
the facts guy.
right? He's
Real
the guy who would
Frank West.
really. He's got a gun for that story. He wants to know what happened to Ashley Kansas.
Yeah.
This is like the ultimate anti. Dylan
It's the
story.
anti-meme, as they say.
So I'm going to ask Dylan a question.
Dylan is a meme.
If
so
you,
it's
all right,
And my
It's the
soul
opposite of
is
you.
hurt from that comment.
I'm gonna ask you a question. If you were in that situation and you were tasked with studying this object and getting the facts on it, what would you do? How would you attack this thing and try to get the facts? Because they've had people go in to talk to it or talk about it potentially, but then they leave the room and forget.
Observe it, yeah.
They've drawn pictures of it. They forget.
taken
They've
photos
written
of
things
it.
down. They've taken photos.
And
So
forget
unless
about
it's
it.
Williams there and they're just fucking with it, whatever it is.
Well, what's
But let's just assume it's not.
What's fun
I
with
want.
this-
I want to hear what Dylan thinks. How would you do it? How would you get the information on it?
That's because
You can't!
The first thing would be like, okay, if everyone's forgetting about it, photograph would be the first thing to see what it is, and then all of a sudden you walk out, it's just like, what happened? Like, like Dan's saying, like
the fucked up
you
thing
have
is
to make
that
something to realize what's going on.
the photo doesn't disappear. It's still there.
It's just you don't know.
But
what it is.
nobody
You don't
knows
remember-
what the fuck it's a
What is
photo
this?
of.
Where
Right.
was I?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
That's the weird
I would
thing.
love it if it was like some fucking like Prison Break shit, like season 1, where he's getting like the fucking tattoos all over his body.
Right.
And it's like the escape route is like on his body,
But what?
and they're like, it's.
So they can't even. They look at this thing. They know it exists, even though they don't know what it is, and they're just making assumptions about what it does. They're like, oh, it could be interfering with this. Could be observing. We don't know. And it's like, why would you want something that seems a little scary? I would not be stopping in.
Right, but
on
this
55.
Like we're gonna talk more about it. We're gonna talk more and more about SCPs like down the road.
Yeah.
But like you have to remember what this isn't. This is the organization, because again you're not gonna understand this until the episode comes on. You listen to it. But I'm talking to Lynn and Caitlin, by the way. We talked about SCP-86, how like almost robotic that doctor guy was for just sending humans with possibly at best mischievous backgrounds to worst possibly criminals. There was the one dude that hated women and probably committed crimes against women, and then some college kid, and then God knows who else. Like, you never know with these people, but it sounded so cold and robotic the way they just kept sending people down the
Well, you have
staircase
to be, right?
I
That's the
know.
only
That's
way
what I'm
you get
saying.
answers.
This is the same foundation, is all I'm saying. This is Site 19. So there's a lot of them, obviously. But
This one's a little off the rails. Some of these guys just didn't have fun though at Site 19. They're a little not so much.
This
by
was the
book.
party site.
This is the one where they get crazy and they emotionally abuse the monsters.
SCP Miami.
This is gonna sound.
Mr. Beekman, we all
Oh
just
no!
fuck on.
Hold on, Dylan. Here we go.
Well, I was talking about this earlier with Caitlin about a show. It's called Rascal Dreams of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Oh Christ!
Hold on. I know it
As
sounds
this
ridiculous.
whole side of the room goes, fuck me.
So in the show, one of the characters, whoever that meets her, forgets about her, and they have no recollection whatsoever. And certain people can see her, everyone else can't. So she walks around, no one sees her, even though she exists. The main character sees her, but it turns out later on, like when you go to sleep, you forget about her.
You're just describing Toby from The Office.
Yeah.
Basically like that, but it turns out like there's a thing called adolescence.
Is Toby in the
If
room?
I had a gun,
Well, there's the thing is
That's
like
a
it's
creepy
called
monster.
adolescence syndrome in the show, where certain people get affected by this syndrome and has certain effects. Like this effect makes everyone forget who this person is, and and no one can remember who the person is. And the only way you really could do that is write something down to remind yourself. But even then, the name fades away.
I'm still hung up on the
It's
fact
like the
that
silence
somebody
on
was
the
able
Yeah,
to
it's
record that
basically
this
like
thing
the silence.
exists.
Yeah.
But
I have an interesting, like, I don't know if it's theory, whatever you want to call it, but I'm thinking that it's been sort of contained. I mean, it has been contained. It is in this room.
Whatever it is. We have no idea, though, like, how dangerous it could
But
be.
it's not hurting anyone.
Or if it's...
As far as
we
know.
know.
Right.
Right.
Because they theorized that hundreds of people could be dead in that room and nobody would fucking know.
That's not actually really
but people
accurate because...
Well, it's only a 5x5
It's not that you don't... like, if someone died, you would realize it.
You just wouldn't know
Like,
why.
I guess.
What if every other...
You wouldn't remember what happened.
Like, how many unexplained deaths are happening in this camp where they can be like, who knows where we can stick them?
Well, maybe that's why they know. Maybe that's what they know that they know anything they know about SCP-55 is always, like, from the lack of information
But here's the
that
theory.
they should
But
know.
here's the problem, though. If this thing is killing people, they wouldn't know. Because if it's directly responsible for the death of somebody, they wouldn't remember.
My point is, Dan, we would... In theory, a lot of times when people die, you are generally able to correlate or track down why they died or what happened. So I'm asking,
they'll know that. So even if they know that they got vaporized or murdered or stabbed or whatever kind of weird, spiritual or alien like shit could have happened to a human being who dies. Which, if we're going with like Lovecraft logic, there's lots of ways a person could die in that environment.
Well, hold on. What are you saying?
I'm waiting for John to...
I'm just saying, you can't... I'm not saying that you can't look at a dead body and think, oh my god, Frank's dead. Right? Oh, Frank, the fucking intern. He's fucking toast. Why is he dead? Where do we send him? What happened?
Right.
And they're like, well, what was he doing?
We don't know.
We don't really know how...
Unless they found a blood trail that led directly into the room, and then maybe they would know.
But what if somebody is killed by this thing? That's where I'm getting hung up on, because it doesn't explicitly state that this thing influences other people, right? Or
also,
influences its memory, right?
There's also one more thing.
So it's if it's murdered, if this thing can kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that people are just going to forget? Because if you forget that the thing exists, then you can't explain how somebody died, or what is the extent of this thing's reach?
Well, I know. Well, that's what I was going to mention. We know its reach. It says,
do we?
I mean, it says in the story.
Within the room.
To an extent.
They say that within reason, they don't want people who are studying other SCPs to be within 50 meters of the geocentral location of the room.
Right.
So clearly, and the room's only a 5 meter, 2.5 meter.
You're right.
So that means that from the epicenter of it's not the right word, but the dead center of the room, 50 meters out, in a radius.
So it's way past where the room is.
It's way past the room. That's why there's no guards. That's why there's nothing in that hallway. And that's why they try to keep all the other SCPs away from it.
Right.
Not just for those SCP safeties potentially, but also so the other researchers can study. It's right in the text.
But how would they know that? Isn't the entire point of the text
well, obviously
that it's all
they know,
essentially made up?
All they know at this point is
hypothesized.
All they know at this point is that whatever they're doing in that room, they can't seem to remember what's happening. And they have video and recording proof that they can't remember what the fuck they're doing. So they know something's in there, and it's fucking with their memory, and they're estimating, okay, it seems to have a reach of about 50 meters. So we have to try and work.
But how would they remember that? They don't remember anything about it.
Right. If you send somebody in to observe it, and they get caught in there, because they don't remember why they're there, or they go catatonic or amnesic or whatever, the person that sent them in there is not going to remember that they sent them in there either.
But no one remembers.
So there could be dead people in that room.
But here's the thing. Here's the bigger thing. They don't remember who was responsible for capturing it or how it got in its room. So I'm saying, my theory is that at some point they could remember.
This is where I was going
to get at. And they built the room, and they knew exactly what it was, they knew exactly its power, and they knew exactly its reach. And it probably was contained and classified, maybe even classified as safe once upon a time, and they just happened to know what it did. And then it got out. And now it's in the room, and they can't do anything because it's in the room. And every time they try to go towards it to get it or study it, they can't remember. So I'm saying someone must have been able to contain this thing at some point in history, and they just don't remember who it was.
And something happened, and it
leaked out. And the reason why all these preconceived procedures have been in place to keep all the other SCPs 50 meters away is because at some point they knew what this thing was and knew what it can do.
Well, the Faraday thing really is very telling. I feel like that's the only clue we can get.
And this is what I liked about it, because I wanted to say that.
Because that's such a specific thing. Right?
That's when I said that, like, okay, what's this thing going to do? And now I realize, like, there has to be something like that. But I do like that you brought that up, because I was going to throw that out there. I do like that. That means someone knew at one point.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the only thing that makes sense. How would you build a container for it?
Right.
I like this other
because
idea.
whatever it is, they've contained it.
Right.
To whatever extent they've been able to keep it in its spot. It can't go past that 50-meter radius.
Well, in theory, you understand it in the moment that you're in contact with it, right? It's only once you leave
it leaks out of your
that
brain.
you forget. Right, but it seems to be fine once you're with it, and then as you depart from it, the memory stays with whatever it is.
And you got to walk away from it, and still in that
and
radius.
Allegedly, they can classify it based on what it's not. That doesn't.
Well, the classification is a very generic.
What I'm saying is being able to do it.
It's not
like they identify.
They don't know.
It's not.
No.
Right. I just want to activate just a little bit, and from right here down below near, document 1, the author puts forward the hypothesis that 055 was never formally acquired by Redacted and is in fact an autonomous or remotely controlled agent that was inserted at Site 19 by an unidentified third party.
Mm-hmm. I like that better than the idea that it was captured.
It was. But the thing is, it wasn't captured. It was someone sent it, and
which is where the theory comes in that it's either there to sabotage operations or affect.
Right, and there are other, and the SCP has
Splinter
when we did the About Us page that we read in the last episode, they did mention there were other organizations that weren't as according to them. Not as friendly or as scientific. They want for profit, or they're doing it for power or something.
Right.
Or they want to weaponize them. This place at least seems to try and just have them and study them without really using them. And they're at least trying, because otherwise, if they were like an evil organization, they could just take this thing around and walk around with a little jar or some shit. I don't know. That's the interesting thing. No one's ever been tasked to try. Actually, I don't think it could be a creature, because at some point,
they said
somebody try to extract it.
Right, I think someone would just try to leave the room with the object. So obviously it has to be like some really heavy thing that they can't move.
They said autonomous too.
And every time they try to leave to like remember what tools they need to get it, then they can't remember.
Right.
So who knows? It could be an inanimate object too. So,
could just be the room itself.
No, maybe it's just the room itself, just the walls.
Just
it's an empty
some kind
space.
of existence, yeah.
Actually, the coolest imagery I can think of is you open the room, it's an empty room, and there's just a mirror.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Like you talk
or like that, like the color that absorbs all light. It just looks like there's a void. Yeah. It's just like you walk in the room and it's just it looks like there's a void. Like it's just that Phantom black color. Yeah, this was interesting. I don't think it's like horror or like creepy, but it's really fascinating. This like weird sci-fi phenomena. Like this thing exists, but it doesn't. Or it does. We know it exists based on the fact that we don't know it exists.
Right. Abuse can be mental and it can be traumatizing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But I like that. I like that as an idea.
I like that we don't know if it's killed. What if it's at one point responsible for every unsolved murder?
Yeah.
Because every time they're like, oh, we gotta investigate this murder
it's
more. They get to it, they're like, oh, it's 55. What's 55? What is 55? Right. So it continues being that.
I love that little conversation because it goes from the doctor knowing to the guy knowing, and then the doctor's like, wait, what are we talking about? Object what? I like that a lot. All right, let's do final thoughts on 55 then. William, go final thoughts on it?
I still think my gaslighting theory is the real canon.
Of course you do. Dan.
Totally makes sense. I'm in agreement with one.
I'm more like asking like how good is it?
No, I think final thoughts. I think this is a very interesting. As a concept, it's really cool. I wouldn't say that anymore. I think it's fine. I think we get just enough, especially with that Faraday cage. I think that's very telling. You can. There's just enough for you to assume something, right? And we get a lot of could be this, could be that. We don't know. Like we get a lot of what is potentially factual information, and you just have to try to put the pieces together. And I like that. So.
I'm going to say the entire time we were reading this, I kept thinking, God damn it, this is going to be impossible to make a thumbnail for.
Just don't make any thumbnail.
It's going to be completely blank.
There you
Just
go.
a-
Well,
No, just
in
a
brackets,
question, just a question
pending
mark.
thumbnail.
Just a question mark.
I really liked it because I feel like it, as far as SCP as a whole, how it's like an open source type creepypasta. You can take this in itself and, like we did, run with a bunch of different theories in every direction because it's just such a simple concept that could beat anything.
All right, Caitlin, what do you think?
I always feel like I'm in school when I'm with you guys. Like, oh, Caitlin, what do you think?
Caitlin, what do you think of this weird, creepy ass story we read?
Participation is 50% of your grade.
Shit. I liked it because, like what Kevin said before, it reminded him of the silence, and I always was very scared of the silence because if you look at something and then suddenly you walk away from it and it's not there, it's like you're in a daze. It made me always afraid. So like I like this one. I don't think it was too creepy, but definitely very, very interesting.
And lastly, Dylan.
It was good, especially with, you don't know exactly what SCP-55 is. And like Kevin was saying, it could be anything. With all these theories, it could be anything, or it could be, like they said, there's nothing there at all. It could just be an empty room that they just put something in there and be like, there's SCP-55's in there. And they're like, no, nothing there.
Well, I would like to add, I find it interesting that the last one that we read, they don't know what it is. But they send people down and they discover things about it. And at least the SCP is aware of it. But this is kind of like a reverse of that. Like, what if nobody knew what this was at all? And they were trying to document it. So.
Or there's just one guy that does know what 55
There's
is.
one dude who wrote that whole thing.
But he's like deaf and blind.
Yeah, he's just like...
I think
Having
what's
fun.
in the middle of the room, if you could remember, it's actually an embarrassing photo of SpongeBob from the Christmas party.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what? I came up with another really interesting idea where it's like
I like Kevin's.
you open the door of the hallway that leads into SCP-55 and you walk down a hallway to the door where it's staying.
Mm-hmm.
You open the door
And you
enter the
hallway.
room and you enter.
'Cause that would be fucking
you
cool.
enter back into the hallway.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be amazing.
You just go
And
on a
it's
loop.
and it's like 2 hours later, and you're like, "What did you see?" And you're like, what are you?"
I was walking on the floor. Where was I?
Oh, what, PT?
So basically what's in the
Yeah,
room
a
is
little bit like PT. Yeah.
it's the road leading to Ashley, Kansas.
Yeah, that's Holy shit! What if this thing was responsible for Ashley, Kansas?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Makes that big old void.
What is this? A crossover episode?
How many of those have we had?
None. All right, last thing from me. I really like this idea a lot. I think that's all it really is, though. It's just an idea, and that's what these SCPs really are.
Yeah.
They're of course, it's not really a plot. It's just like an interesting concept that someone can use and reuse for something down the line.
It's a concept album.
So yeah, I find it hard to really, other than like theories about what the object is or like how we can like get information on it. I can't really think of any like things to really talk about in terms of the writing.
Well, it's less of a story and more of a thought experiment by design, so you can't really look at it as a story.
It's a riddle.
It's an interesting.
Discuss it as one.
Right. All right, so this has been Scary Friends. Join us for the next episode. We are definitely going to be covering more SCPs. I've been doing a lot more research on further SCPs we can do in the future. But until then, this has been myself, Skillfully, along with my friends William, Dan, Kevin, Caitlin, and Dylan. And we will see you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves, and take care of each other.